Thank you everybody for coming and welcome the guests. I'd like to start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, again, thank you all for coming. This is our budget workshop. We'll start out with a roll call.
Alberico,
Here.
Vickers,
Here.
Delaney, here, Morelli,
Here.
Johnson, here, Lausch,
Here.
Williamson, here.
All right. Next on the agenda is any citizens wishing to address the board here tonight.
Just a few words.
Sure. Please state your name for the record, for the minutes.
Low 16832 Charleston Circle from Lago Vista. And this relates to your discussion about the surety surcharge refund. And they were discussing this at the Fairmont meeting last night. And I don't know if this was part of your outreach, but there's like 40% Hispanic population in Fairmont. I just wonder if any of the solicitations or postcards going out in Spanish, and I think that would be a bit more helpful in getting the message out to them. And related to that, as that goes on, I'm wondering if you would be pushing the cutoff date maybe ahead a month or so and see how that goes. And the last thing about getting the numbers together about the real estate and the ownership status, that sort of thing. Now, you've done a fine job doing the Lockport, the website. And I'm just wondering if some of your data handling software maybe might need a bit of upgrading to make those, the data storage and the presentation maybe a little easier for everybody. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you very much for your comment, and we will be discussing it towards the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
I know we have a discussion on that. So, point taken though on the Spanish. I never.
That's really becoming an issue out there.
All right. Point taken. Appreciate that. Any other citizens wishing to address the board? Seeing none, we'll go into our workshop then. I guess what we usually do here is we start with the assessors, just for the sake of time and to get to the crux of the issues, I guess. I think it might be, I think the only real issue we're going to have on this budget, a lot of the issue will be raises for the employees. So I think if we talk about that first and get that settled, then we can go through each individual budget relatively quickly because there's not a lot of changes in the budget. Is everybody okay with that? In order to do that, we'll have to go into an executive session right away though. So I would...
Make a motion to go into executive session.
I got a motion by Barb Delaney to go into an executive session.
Second.
I got a second by Greg Bickus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Good.
Regular workshop meeting.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. I'd like to entertain a motion to go back into regular session.
I'll make that motion.
I got a motion by Barb Delaney,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. We'll start with the assessor's budget, which is, everybody have that on their front page? That should be on the top of the town fund. Do you want me to read these off? Did you want to go through these?
I don't mind if you read them. I'm not sure how it's supposed to go, so.
First line item, obviously, is the chief deputy assessor. It was budgeted at $22,461 and now it's at 45,000. So that one did go up. The other one, the deputy assessor, we are putting in a 3% increase in all the employees' line items, which is, I don't want to name names here in this meeting, but it's the appraiser, part-time employees stayed the same, overtime hours stayed the same, full-time clerk is a 3% raise, the full-time clerk is a 3% raise, the full-time clerk at 3% raise. This line item, full-time clerk, the clerical, I'm sorry, is no longer, it's taken out.
Right, so if I could just comment on that. What I asked in the preliminary meeting with, when I met with the accountant, was if I could combine two salary line items. So in the past, we had, people with lesser we had two positions that were people who had less credentials or qualifications. And when I served under Debbie Mason, I was her chief deputy assessor. When I became assessor, I didn't have a chief deputy. So what I want to do is combine those two. So both of those line items were people who have since retired from working for us. So what I wanted to do is combine those two salary line items into one item that would be up to that 45,000, so that if and when, I'm sure that I will hire a chief deputy assessor, I can hire someone with a higher level of experience and credentials than the two other staff positions that I held. So that 4203 then is a combination of 4203 and 4223 were the original line items. So that's why that first one went up, and that 4223 now is 0.
Is that person retired as well, you said?
But yes,
Okay.
the one person retired, and the other position was vacated when I promoted that person to a deputy,
Okay.
but not a chief deputy.
Okay.
All right, any questions on that so far? All right. The next line item, the deputy commercial appraiser is staying the same. Equipment maintenance is the same at 12,000. Legals at 1,000. Appraisals at 3,500 stays the same. Consultant stays the same at 1,000. Telephone for the assessor's office is $100. Publishing is at it's gone down from 300 to 200. Printing went down from 500 to 300. Dues stayed the same at 500. And training went down from 7,000 to 6,000. Publications went down from 300 to 200. And office supplies went down from $3,500 to $3,000. Postage is the same at $200. $1,500 in miscellaneous, and $2,500 in contingency. Equipment purchase stayed the same at $20,000. Any questions on the assessor's budget?
Yeah, I just thought I'd check that A. Pachilli, deputy commercial appraiser. That's a current employee,
It is.
and they don't have a 3% raise
That's correct.
extended?
That's correct. That is our deputy commercial, and does not work in the office typically. He's in the office periodically, but not always in the office. And so for that reason, I didn't put a 3% increase there, because there's not the same travel expense and that kind of thing for that person.
Ron, my question is, when you go, I know we voted for a 5% raise for the levy. When you go to submit the percentage we're gonna use for the levy. You use these budget numbers, right?
Well, I always make sure that we have the money being.
To meet the budget.
To meet the budget,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're asking for all the money that's in this budget, correct?
Mhm,
So I've
yeah.
been
We
saying
have
this,
surplus.
Excuse
I've
me,
been saying-
Fred, can you pull your mask up? I'm sorry. Oh, thank
I was
you.
trying to breathe.
I'm sorry.
So, year after year, we come to this point where our budget for last year for the assessor is $261, we expended $212, we put $48,000, $48,906 into our coffers that we haven't used from last year. So that's how we got into a position where we have millions of dollars and we have to give a rebate check that costs us money, and we're holding taxpayers' money. If they move out of the township, they don't get that money, the people that move into their house get the money. So why are we gonna put a budget here that we're not gonna spend? Do a realistic budget. These numbers are just pulling out of the sky. We did it last year, might as well do it again. This is why we're in this problem with giving a rebate. We shouldn't be doing this. We should be giving a realistic budget. I understand last year we didn't spend as much, but I've commended you, and I know I've mentioned it at meetings, for only spending 75% of what you budgeted for the years before, and I've done that year after year. But now we're gonna collect 100% and only spend 75%, put another 25% into the excess funds.
Well, I guess my comment would be, I would rather.
Take the people's money.
No,
We have all kinds of money in reserves.
No.
All the money that we didn't spend is already in
I didn't
reserves.
interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me. That's all I ask. So, let's be nice, Chuck. I would rather budget 75% of what we're coming in and collect 100% rather than collect 100% and spend 150%, like most of our taxing bodies are doing.
Well, I'd like
They're in the
to
red.
ask the accountant, how much of a cushion do we usually, and I know this is your first time, but because Dave's always done the budgets for us before, how much of a cushion should budgets usually have in case there's expenditures that happen that are unforeseen?
Yeah, and typically that's what you provide for in the contingency. But I mean, really, you should budget for what you think you're going to spend. And then the contingency would sort of be your provision for overages.
So really, the
things that are
contingencies
unforeseen.
are what should go up then?
If you think that there are potentially unforeseen expenses, that's why you have that line item for contingencies, is to provide for that.
All right.
I understand this year, we haven't spent money on certain things, especially in the town fund. There's some monies that we haven't spent, and that's because of the type of year that we had. But year after year, it's been the way I explained it. We've stayed at the 75% or less in the amount of the budget expended.
I think, it's just my opinion, that'd be a good thing rather than I'd rather
I haven't,
be under than
I'm
over.
under.
I'd rather work in the black than in the red. That's why I plan a budget the way I do.
how much money do we have in our accounts?
I don't have those figures with me.
Millions of dollars. If we go over by if we
Again,
go over by 10%, we have millions of dollars that we can cover our expenses rather than take taxpayer money to put in there and leave sit.
But this budget workshop is not about the levy. This is.
It isn't about the levy, but you base the amount you ask. You've told me this before many a times. Have you not? That you lower the amount of the levy to match what we budget.
I try to lower the levy every year to about the same amount of money coming in each year. Because we're comfortable spending that kind of money and we've been able to save. And there are some projects that we probably should take care of in the next couple of years. We do have a parking lot that's deteriorating under our feet. We have a garage that we probably need to put some put some of our equipment in. We have no storage right now. We have a backyard that's a wetland that we need to clean up. There's projects we should do, and I would like to get into senior housing. Maybe there's, the money we tax is to do programming for our residents and to upkeep of our township. So we do have to do both. And there are a lot of good projects that we could still do with mental health. We have a opiate crisis in this county. The whole country has an opiate problem. You know, maybe we should come up with some programs that'll help our youth with the opiate. But we can't do it if we don't tax, so we don't have the money to do it. We can't even, you know, if you want to stay stagnant in one spot, okay. But I don't think any township or anybody should stay stagnant. You stay stagnant, you start to rot. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And I'd just like to clarify with something that Greg brought up. I think the reason we had a part of the surplus is that money was put aside for a building for years, not knowing what would happen. And then we were in the building and we were gauging what kind of expenditures we might have. So I think the reason for the rebate was we got it, you know, we're in the building for a couple of years. We saw that there probably wasn't too much that we haven't figured out is coming down the pipeline. There was no reason to keep those funds any longer. You know, so yeah, we can reduce the surplus more, but we're within the guidelines for how townships budget their money. And like Ron said, it's better than running, you know, having to take out loans and so forth. And there's certainly room for discussion on a lot of individual things, but these are the circumstances that led up to the rebate, and it was just time for that because we didn't need that much in reserve any longer.
And we did approve the levy, as you know, a couple of meetings back. That's the money we're taxing. That's the argument of how much we're going to tax the people. This is how we're going to spend the money that we already made that decision on. So this, you know, the levy's already, there's nothing we can do about that. I'm going to lower it when it comes from the county. It'll be the CPI, I'm sure.
Tax rate.
The tax rate. And I'll talk to the accountant. I usually do when that comes in. I know, Dean, you were here last time when we had that discussion. Talk it over with him. I see where we could cut the levy a little bit more each year. But this is spending the money that we're gonna, what we're talking about tonight. The workshop tonight is how we're gonna spend that money.
So you don't have a copy of the old budget now with you in that file there? Or?
No,
Because
this is,
there's always a beginning balance on those budgets that you work with.
well, this is last year's budget here.
Well, I know, but I'm talking about the actual budget that goes on display, the one that goes to the
Oh, no,
county.
No, I
the
don't
one
have
that-
that.
and
no.
these are working
These are
budgets.
worksheets, yeah.
So I'm talking about the actual budget. We
Yeah.
don't have that here. We probably should always have a copy
Does,
of that
Does our accountant,
budget.
do they have, like, I mean, I know Greg's point where, okay, we get in so much as far as tax dollars, and I know that was the big discussion last time, to lower that, to get closer in the ballpark as what we're bringing in to what we're spending. And I know that's why we talk about lowering the tax rate every year. I mean, that's something that, you know, is a discussion that, I mean, you know, we talk about that every year, you know, let's lower it so we know we don't need X amount of dollars, we need this amount of dollars. So, you know, whenever all the numbers come in, we figure it out. Let's get a little closer to actually what we need as tax dollars. And I mean, you know, I'm, you know, not going into things too deep here. I mean, you know, how much the residents actually look at their tax bill and see exactly what comes to the township, you know. I know that it doesn't mean a whole lot because if you got too much, you got too much. But I mean, like I said, probably 90% of the taxpayers in the township pay less than $100 to the township, which is less than $10 a month. So, you know, we lower it a little bit. I mean, the amount of savings they're going to get,
Right.
you know.
So remember, this is appropriated too. This is an appropriated budget. So, and the surplus is we've had a surplus for years. That's how we got to do the senior housing, that's how we got to do the senior bus. I mean, all of these programs, because of the due diligence of this board, is why we have monies to do these programs. So, you know, you are absolutely correct on that.
You know, we were come up with an idea, about 2 years ago, with the lock boxes. We couldn't have done that, and it's a very, very popular
Or the shingle
program.
shop.
The shingle shop, well, that was 4 years ago, but the shingle shop, we couldn't even have done those if we didn't have the money to do it. You know, but because we're living in such a saving money, and, you know, we've been so due diligent with our tax dollars here, we're able to do some good programming, new programming, new ideas. I'm always looking for something that's gonna help our youth or our, you know, most of the time it's because of the seniors. We do a lot with our seniors, but, you know, if I can come up with an idea to help our youth in some kind of mental health idea, I would do that. Because, you know, that's what we're here for to do. And that's why they have township government, to help the people. We're the closest to the people, so. But getting back on base, any more questions about?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm missing something, but I'm just not finding, you know, with budgeted and proposed, the new proposed, there's about $40,000 difference, but I'm not seeing a very significant difference in the proposed versus the budgeted to add up to $40,000. So can somebody tell me what I'm not
Well,
seeing?
the training, she didn't spend any money in training at all. See that, that's 7,000.
So last year's budget.
Yeah,
compared
so
to
last
this
year's budget for the proposed budget, yeah, so there's a lot of $500,000 difference, a couple 2,000, but I'm not seeing
Yeah, I saw that.
where the $40,000 difference is. I'm not seeing,
Does that
And
have
the-
to do with the raises? Because that's all added together.
I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if these totals are wrong, because.
that's what
Yeah,
I'm
you're missing
thinking.
something in your total. 'Cause
Yeah.
mine adds up to 299.
299.
Yeah.
I'm
Really,
thinking
it's
that
only like a
misprint
3,000.
on the,
Yeah, I'll bet something isn't totaling in your column.
yeah, I'll have to ask, you know,
Yeah,
Sherry
and
when she
still
put these
even-
together.
Because it only adds up to like a $3,000 increase from last year's budget.
Mhm.
I mean, so like a
So what should the budgeted amount
263,
be?
263.
So last year's
Last year's-
budgeted amount should be 299,769.
Yeah.
Okay.
299.
And still that's still 30,000
Right.
more, and it would look like it's 10,000 or
Oh,
less, just by eyeballing it.
You've got 312.
Well, she has budgeted last year at 299 and proposed budget for this year at 302, so it's a $3,000 increase.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 299, all right, I'm looking at 261, the first column you have
Also,
299.
the 299,769 should be in the first.
Oh,
Correct.
okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's what he's saying, this total,
Okay,
the
now-
budget from last year isn't
Gotcha.
totaled right.
So I'll bet her
Okay,
formula
that's-
probably isn't capturing.
Okay.
Yeah, something was-
Okay.
I put it the last
Where's
time.
299?
So 299 is the first budget, then not 261. So then
Okay,
the
that's
302
not on
is
here
just a
anywhere, though.
couple,
Right.
No, it's
it's
not
just
on there,
that,
it's
just the
total.
total
It's
is
just-
off.
So 299 what?
769
Looks like a
is
couple of the
the
employees
last year's
maybe or
budget.
something like that.
Something wasn't added up right anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Good catch, Karen.
Yeah, good catch, yeah, I was kinda looking at those numbers too, thinking something doesn't look right, because there wasn't that many. much
Yeah,
difference in-
not significant changes individually. Okay.
This line item, looks like something got deleted.
Yeah. And the third one down,
Yeah.
last year's
Laura's-
budget wasn't in there.
The third one down should be 38,060. That's what's missing from that.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
her salary.
Her salary wasn't in there at all.
Yeah. All right. That's just a clarifier on that.
There's that close to 40 you were looking for, Karen.
Yeah.
All right. Is everybody happy with the assessor's budget?
That's all the questions I have.
That's all the questions you said? I'm sorry.
That's all the questions I have, yes.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the clerk's
Everything has stayed the same since last year, except for the employee.
So that budget seems a lot more in line with the numbers I was looking to be at.
So you have to remember, the extra hours, I upped that.
Okay,
Not the extra hours, excuse me, the part-time.
part-time employee, correct?
Yeah, but they're gonna get raises, so, you know, I just left it at that, just because I'm changing it back and forth, and we have another election year, and I have more part-time employees, so I just left it at 15,000, and that's really about all.
Any questions, Bill? Clerks? All right, we'll move on to the supervisors. We got 3% raise for the one employee. Everything pretty much stays the same until the very end, where office supplies. They're always telling me I gotta get a little bit more in office supplies. My office staff is always borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, so I've raised that. And miscellaneous I raised from 500 to 1,000. Because that did go under last year. That's the only changes I have.
Well, it looks like you had enough in the office supplies, you just didn't spend it. You need to tell them, go use my charge card, spend some money.
They took it out of different areas. And we do need to take it out of the right area. Any questions on mine? I did go out of order though, I'm sorry.
So we're on the township cleanup, I just have a question on that.
Okay.
What is that line item for, is it?
The township cleanup, well, that's in the town fund when we get down to the trustees.
Oh, I just looked
Yeah, I'm
at
not
it.
going through this, I wanted to get the highway done first.
Oh,
So if they wanted to leave, you know, they
Oh.
could leave, Mary
okay.
Ann.
You know what, this thing is upside down, so I'm.
You know
looking
what,
at-
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I threw those
Oh.
together 5 minutes
That's
before the
all right.
meeting. I thought everybody was gonna bring their
Okay.
copy. That's the supervisors, and I wasn't gonna do mine, I was gonna do the highway before the
Okay.
supervisor. But
All right.
let's go through Jim's real quick. All right, Jim, do you want to do the honors, or?
Well, I just had a couple of changes. The utility lighting, we bumped up 5,000,
The street lighting there?
ComEd bill, basically. We had no part-time employees due to COVID. We added 2 part-time for summer help.
Okay.
Salaries, I think that's the only thing I bumped up, I think.
You dropped down maintenance supplies, building?
Yeah, we took money out of MOA to pay the part-times.
It looks like you went up $1,000 in,
And that's for, yeah, other road improvement. We stuck out another 1,000 that, Karen knows that street light has been an issue, and I've been trying to work through Joliet. I thought I'd add a little money in case Joliet didn't work out, so.
okay. Yeah, I know, I'm well aware of that issue too.
Yeah.
Okay, you got,
So when you say you took money out of MOA for salaries, I didn't think you did that. I don't remember that being a transfer on your transfers list in February.
That's what I thought we did. For, you mean for part-time salaries, the
Yeah,
15?
because really, well, that MOA, you got that $250,000 from the town fund, correct?
Right, we backed that out.
You did back it out.
We backed that out. And at the time that I left in our last meeting, I wasn't quite sure what to even do with it. And I talked to Sherry. says, well, that's gotta come out, you didn't use it. So,
You didn't use the 250, but you
Right.
did, I thought you used that for the road work.
We
You already
did.
had it in the budgets?
yeah, we did,
So
Tom, we
this-
did take that out,
This,
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
expended the 657,246 from last year.
Yes.
That was the 250,
The budget,
right.
yeah.
I think he's saying this year he's not including it in the budgeted amount.
Okay.
So he's reduced it by that.
By 250,000.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
it doesn't reflect that
Right.
here. So you've got a new one? Okay, all right.
So Jim, the additional monies that you have left over from last year and the additional money we had left over from the budget of this year, for the past year, you do have projects lined up to expend this money?
Yes. And that number, I'm comfortable with that number for projects. In addition to that, we have MFT money.
How much MFT money do you have?
I believe 303 at the last count,
303,000?
yeah.
Did the county send you any paperwork on that, or could you get it in my office sometime? Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thank you. We'll move on to, well, supervisor was next, but we did go through that one. Let's go back, or let's start the trustees area, which is everything else. So we'll start on this first page with the town fund. We went through the first page, turn over to the second page. We'll start there. And those are the, starts out with the supervisor, town clerk, assessor, highway commissioner, road and bridge treasurer, trustees, and collector. That is all the salaries for the elected officials, and that stays the same. You'll see an increase in the budgeted number, but the reason for that is it's clear once you get it figured out in your head, but the raise, the 3% raise that occurred last year was included, wasn't always all included in the 77,000. You know, it came in late, it came in March. Does that make sense to you? So the new budget has to reflect the same amount of money, which is, this is the new amount for the next 4 years for everybody. Does that make sense? Because of the way the year falls, our fiscal year. Again, the payroll clerk has the raise. Health insurance stayed the same. Accounting is going to stay the same. I did ask the accountant on their opinion on that. Engineering, I kept the same. Again, we did know engineering last year, but we do have some projects we should probably try to get done, depending on the new board after the election. If the new board wants to move forward on some projects for this township, we need to have some engineering money in there. Legal stays the same. QuickBooks stays the same. Data communication, everything stays the same here. All the way down until we get to Pace Bus. As you know, when we went through the transfers in our last meeting, I explained that Pace Bus is getting more expensive. We're not getting reimbursed by the cities anymore. I don't know why. There was always that gentleman agreement, and they just kind of quit through the new administrations and people change offices. It just kind of quit happening. So we have to pay it if we're going to keep that Pace Bus for our handicapped people, residents. Cable television for Lockport and Crest Hill stays the same. State of the city stays the same. The mosquito stays the same. Actually, it looks like it went down $170. I thought we were gonna keep that the same, but okay. $1,000 for the cleanup, and you had a question on the cleanup?
I just wondered what, because I know you didn't expend any money last year, what you were using that line item for.
Right. What that used to be, we used to have that one day, I don't know if you remember,
Oh, yeah, I
Mother's
do.
Day weekend.
Yeah, I do.
We'd
That's
go
why I'm
around,
wondering why we still have it in there.
Well, it was at $10,000 when we used to do that cleanup. It got to a point, I don't know, just for the new trustees, what had happened was we were paying $10,000 for this waste management, it was at the time. Go through the areas, pick up Sunday, all the garbage, spring cleanup kind of a thing. And it got to a point where they were only picking up, 10 tons of garbage, so, because they can't pick up construction material, they can't pick up paints, they can't pick up all the other things that are electronics, they can't pick up anything. The only thing they could pick up anymore was white items, and the junkers would come the night before and take all that. So they weren't picking up anything. So, I just thought it was a waste of $10,000. So I dropped it down to $1,000, and I did do a little project with battery recycling for a while, and that really didn't take off. But I did keep the line item in case something else does come up. I know there's talk about the Fairmont community again, of doing a cleanup with the dumpsters and that, so we'll have some money in there if something comes up.
Thank you.
EMA, that stays the same, that's for the tornado warning system. Miscellaneous stays the same. The tax rebate obviously came out because we're not doing it again next year at this point. Contingency stays the same. And, building maintenance. That went up. What I'm doing there, just so I'm making everybody aware, is we have one full-time maintenance man now and 2 part-timers. The full-time maintenance man is injured right now. He had an operation on his shoulder. Our other part-time maintenance person that we hired about a year ago is doing a phenomenal job. I'm very happy with her work, and I want to make her full-time. And she's the only one that's here right now, while Bob is gone, and between her and myself doing the plowing, I need somebody else so I don't have to go out and shovel and plow every time it snows. So that went up to $30,000. Part-time, I still have a part-time right now, building maintenance in there. I don't know what this is, right now we're in transition of who's working and who's, we don't have a third maintenance man. I'd like to get a third one on, so we can have somebody at night, in case we rent the building out to the plays and stuff like that, so they can lock up once the building starts opening up again. So I kept that the same. Elevator maintenance, I know we went over last year, so I brought that up $500. Alarm maintenance is good. Yard maintenance is good. Custodial supplies is good. Everything else is pretty good in that section. Now, in our community programming for the town fund, I'm keeping everything along here pretty much the same, except for community miscellaneous community programs. I brought that up $500 to $2,000. That is for when a trustee has a situation. The one I'll just bring up, like right now, I know we did wreaths across for the veterans at the American Legion or the Abraham Lincoln Cemetery. That we don't have a line item for. That kind of programming comes out of miscellaneous. So if there's things that come up that we really feel strongly that we could support, that would help our residents, that's what that line item comes out of. Scholarship program stays the same. United Way stays the same. Care Track stays the same. Bridge to a New Day. Fairmont Food Pantry stays the same. The Lockport Fish Pantry stays the same. Music program, I'm keeping that the same. I might try to get that up and running again. CASA stays the same, Veterans Breakfast stays the same. The leaf bag program, I kept that the same. We could drop that if somebody has, wants to see a number drop down, but right now we have enough bags probably for the next couple of years. But I kept it the same. The lock boxes, we kept that the same, even though we did go over, I think, last year. The resource center came down from 5,000 to 2,000. That I wanted to get your opinions on. I wanted to ask you. I know last year they came, that was the first time they came to us. We did give them a pretty good amount of money to get up and running. We gave them $5,000. We don't give that kind of money yearly to any major thing, so I thought I'd bring it down to about 2,000 like we do most of our other programs. Any comment on that?
Ron, the only thing I have a comment on is that I know in the past you've always said that you don't use those line items unless the organization comes and asks.
Right, I usually don't.
Because, it's just a shame that you've got Habitat for Humanity.
10,000.
Yeah, 10,000, and I know that for years, and I know they always used to ask for money, and I'm just wondering, has somebody else taken over the program?
What has happened there?
Do they know? You know what happened.
Yeah, I can explain a little bit what's
Okay.
going on there. The $10,000 that we always kept in that line item was for Habitat for Humanity whenever they built a house in Fairmont area or anywhere in our township.
Right.
And money was used for the tap-on fees for the water.
Oh, okay.
Now, they changed their philosophy back years ago to not building as many houses. They were just fixing up houses. I don't know what their opinion was, but they quit building houses in the area. So we haven't been spending the money, they haven't been asking for it.
I think they just haven't asked. They are building houses and.
And now they have started building
Yeah, they
houses
just
again. and
built one in the last year or so, close to me.
They need to be made aware that this money is there.
So who would do that? I mean, is that something your staff could do?
We
Reach
could.
out to those
I just have a
people?
real hard time.
Tell them I'm on the board.
Oh, there you go.
Well, not you.
I can text Nicole when I leave.
The issue
No,
I
we're losing
have
out
is
on
with-
money every year.
The issue I have, and it's with every line item in that category, I don't want to beg people to take money.
I will
Well, I
say
don't know that it's
to,
begging. I think people just don't, maybe they've changed hands.
They change hands,
and
and
They
yeah,
don't
that's what
know that it's
happens.
available.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
And when you're talking about the philosophy change, part of why they did move toward rehabbing houses was we found it was much cheaper to rehab like a donated property than to build from the ground up. So that's why there was kind of a shift to that, but.
I think they're shifting back to building, aren't they?
They are, yeah. We
That's
just,
what I've heard.
we're trying to develop some duplexes in like the Elwood area, the Wilmington area, so, yeah.
And I know this money was earmarked for any building that was in the township, obviously.
Yeah, I'll make sure I tell Nicole,
Okay.
so she knows it's
All
available.
right.
And, hospice, that just really surprises me.
Yeah, I know, we
They
usually
always
get
ask for.
those letters from hospice.
Exactly. Just a thought, just.
Well, Ron, I know, you said even, how they change, whatever,
Yeah,
supervisor or
organizations
somebody,
change.
right, because I did, obviously I've had some experience with the Advocacy Center, and just so they were made aware of it, I did call and leave them a
Yeah.
message, and obviously, nobody ever called me back. I said, I'm with the township and, letting you know they're aware that we do put money aside for you, and, I see they didn't get theirs and no call back, so even reaching out sometimes, I guess,
Sometimes,
doesn't
yeah.
make a difference.
I have a hard time with
Yeah.
the cable TV stations.
Yeah,
I almost have to beg them to come, send me a letter. It comes to the last day before the February meeting, at the end of the meeting. End of the month, I'm like, guys, if you don't give me that letter, I can't, I'm not gonna send the letter. I don't have nothing to staple it to.
Or even, Guardian Angel, I mean, it just kind of it's really kind of sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
And what is the music program?
That was a program that I started, that was back 5 years ago. I got some guys that, I'm a musician, I play the ukulele, and we were doing this fun project where we're teaching ukulele after school at the Fairmont School. We did that for about 3 years. And
That was very well received.
It was, yeah. We did it for about 3 years there, and I liked the idea. I'll just be honest, I gotta be blunt what happened there. Two things. I didn't want to stay at one school, because I wanted to move to different schools in the area. I did go to Taft for a while. But what happened at Fairmont was the music teacher, there was a change in the superintendent.
That
And there were
didn't
some
help
issues,
matters.
and
Yeah.
there was some, always indicated to me that it might be dangerous for our guys to be there. So I didn't want to put our people down there
At
teaching
risk, yeah.
in any kind of risk. So I stopped at that year there. I did move it to Taft. Taft had an idea of trying to do it during the day, during the curriculum. And then we turned into, it wasn't an after-school project, it was,
A class?
we were teaching one of their classes. We were just taking the place of a teacher. So I did that for a year. I said, no, we're not, supplementing your teachers. So then it kind of just fell off to the wayside. And I'd like to try to do something next year with, I think I took it out. Used to say the youth music program. I mean, see.
Oh, okay, so it just says music.
Yeah, now it's just a music program, because I'd like to maybe have a roundhouse here at the building with seniors and kids. Because I've had a lot of interest when we did our breakfast, the ukulele band plays there, we have a lot of seniors say, I'd like to learn how to play. And I was thinking, if we can do a project here every one Thursday a month at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and all sit around in a circle and play, and get kids involved with seniors, and that's what that's for, if I can get it up and running.
And what is the leaf bag program? You said you got
Yeah.
supplies.
Leaf
Is that
bag
a-
program, when we did the referendum, when we negotiated the contract with garbage companies, one of the stipulations that we came up with was they were going to give free leaf pickup for 3 months. Whenever October, around October, about, not 3 months, 4 weeks or 3 weeks, I think it was. They were gonna pick up, leaves. And part of the negotiations, part of the negotiations were that we would give each resident that requested 5 free bags to put the leaves in. And then they'd have to buy their own bags after that. So I bought a bunch of leaf bags, and I bought enough for most of the, residents in the unincorporated area, and not a lot of people requested them. So I do have a backlog of them.
Yeah, because probably most people don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we try to get the word out, but you know
Get
how
that in the
trying to get that
newsletters.
word out to people is always real hard. That's the leaf bag. Going back on lockbox, the only other one, the resource center is where I was. Everybody are comfortable with that? $2,000 instead of $5,000? I mean, they are a wonderful group, but then Wreaths Across America, the trunk and treat stays the same, and that's it on those. The liabilities, unemployment, FICA, Medicare, IMRF, and liability insurance, I left blank. Tom does all that figuring and calculating after we decide on raises and stuff.
Yeah, 'cause we need the final salary numbers to
Yeah.
calculate it.
So now they'll have them after tonight.
Dawn, what do you have the total in the budget number on what would be a bottom of that page we just read through? I know it's gonna be not
Excluding the
exact.
liability, let's see.
Well, even with the liabilities in there, so it'd be total budget for that section.
Well, you don't have the liabilities figured in yet, obviously. You can do the calculation of last year's.
I can take a couple of minutes and calculate it, assuming last year's, just to give a ball.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah, I can find that real quick. million. We'll just double check the math.
That sounds about right, because we took out the 600,000 for
Right, yeah.
for the rebate.
Yeah, so that's if the liabilities were unchanged, it would be 1,773,000.
So with the three funds, this general assistance, senior, and town fund, we're at 3.6.
Is that correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't really need to check.
You're at.
No, I was just, that's fine, you don't, I mean, I'm just going through it, that seems,
About right, I think, yeah, the proposed senior budget's at about 734,000,
734,
and
Plus
the other ones were
1.7.
111.
about 2.6.
So, you want to go through the senior one next? We're going to look at that. Unless there's any questions on the town. Hearing none, we'll go down to the senior. Against the first three are employees with the 3% raise. Part-time drivers, we brought that up a little bit because with the raises, we'll probably give them a little bit of a stipend too. And the buses are getting used again. Life insurance, we brought that up. 10% increase is $5,000 for health insurance.
Ron, if I can interrupt you just for a second.
Sure.
I might just have a question about the third employee on the top. Now that individual is also running for an elected position in Crest Hill. How will that person be able to hold that position as well as this? This is a full-time job.
This is a full-time job.
So how will that individual be able to do the other
Clerk's
job?
job in the city of Crest Hill, when she had it before, was a part-time job. She doesn't-
Okay.
Yeah, it's just part-time.
Okay.
All right. Rent's the same. Accounting is the same. Engineering, same. Data communications went up 2,000. Ones are getting more expensive, all the that's all our communication, the internet and everything. Utilities, the same. Office supplies, again, went up a little bit. Miscellaneous, we got that. I don't understand that. I don't think we would have budgeted last year. That's got to be a miscalculation in what we budgeted last year, $1,515.41.
Yeah, that's what was expended, she just made that error.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see, we probably didn't raise that one, that was probably at 2,000. The 400,000 of property tax rebate came out. Contingency stays the same. Office equipment stays the same. So the administration costs are there. And then we come down into our senior programming. Everything's pretty much staying the same.
Romeoville seniors didn't ask for anything this year?
Romeoville seniors didn't this year because the Romeoville seniors usually ask that for the senior Olympics that they go to in Springfield. And
Okay.
obviously they didn't do it last year. They didn't request it.
So we're on the Lockport Township Park District held all of these, they asked for these monies,
Right, to help stipend,
but did they hold them because of COVID? I'm having a hard time believing that they would have had all
I don't know.
these
What
silver and gold young
they asked for the
timers.
money. You know, I don't know how they spend it once we give it to them.
Well, that's $16,000.
Yeah, I know, we give the park district a lot of money every year.
mean, I'm just kind of knowing that it was COVID here. Obviously, they'll put in their covers, but.
I do the same thing with this as I do with the other programming that I had mentioned. I don't give it to them unless they request it. And they do send that request with all these items on there, and they're budgeted, so I release the money to them. We could take them out, if we wanted to.
No, I didn't say anything about taking them out. I
Yeah,
just
I mean, you know, if anybody feels they want to cut back on something.
You know, with the COVID year, that's all.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. They probably, I don't know what they did. Cost Cutters, that's another program that we help fund. That doesn't always spend the money. That's that group of handicapped kids that'll go down and shovel snow, and for the seniors, they rake or cut the grass. And
That's through the high school, correct?
that's through the high school, yeah. Pace Bus, we brought it up to 10,000 again, same reason we brought it up in the other line, other fund. Senior Services Case Management is $1,000. We keep that one in there. We used to be very high on that one. We used to help with the Meals on Wheels program, but when it was out of Senior Services in Joliet, but they took it out of there and went to Kankakee, and now they just changed somewhere else. I'm not even sure who's doing it, but we don't help with their case management anymore. But I have that line item in case it ever comes up, we could start with that. Care Track Rapid Recovery System, we have $1,500 in there. The Senior Breakfast in October, we didn't expend last year, but $7,500. The entertainment, I brought it up $500. The Senior Christmas Vouchers, it stays at $3,000. Senior Service Quarterly Luncheons at $1,500, stays the same. Shingle Shots is going to stay the same. The Senior Expo, I believe we brought that up a little bit. Yeah, 75 from 5,000. The reason I'm doing that, just to give you a real quick example, the reason what my thinking is, at our vendor show, the Senior Expo that we did last year, not last year, the year before, the shredding that we did outside in the building was very popular. We did do it one time last year, we took the money out of here. I would like to start doing that shredding more often during the year, maybe 3 times a year, as opposed to the one. But it'll come out of that line item.
People are always looking for that.
Yeah. The last time we did that, the truck almost had to leave early, filled. It was almost too full.
We did that during early voting, didn't you, this last time?
I think it
It
was.
was very busy.
Yeah, it was busy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it was through the early morning. Yeah. But I'd like to do it more often since it's a popular program. And Triad.
It looks like the next one, she did the same thing with the budgeted amount and then expended.
Yes, yeah, I see that.
So do you remember, did you budget 20,000 and you
Yeah.
went over 8,000?
No, we didn't. Well, we did last year, yes.
Yeah, so are you
Because,
gonna leave it at 20 or are you gonna put it at 30?
yeah, I think we are. We talked about that. I think we're good at 20. We went to 28,000 last year. We went over budget because we didn't do the breakfast, because we didn't do the other programs. We took the money out of there. Then we talked about that in one of our meetings, that we were gonna intentionally go over.
But you don't think the lock boxes are gonna go as popular?
Well, they're popular, but
Do you
there's a
have
lot
a
of them
waiting
up there.
list?
What's
Do
that?
you have a waiting list
Right now, I think we're getting them cleared up.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, though, what happens, and I think it just happened, was Caroline, either Caroline or Caroline Lakes, I'm not sure. One of them had it in their newsletter about the free lock boxes. Then we get slammed. So we are getting slammed right now for it.
Mm.
But I think 20,000, and you know, if we have to go a little bit over, again, we'll do it if we have to, and we'll take it out of contingency at the end of the year. Monthly events in the building, 2,000. Senior events in the building, 5,000. Total senior programs is $126,000. The buses stay the same at 55,000.
I have a quick question on that.
Sure.
Why was the amount expended so much lower than budgeted this year?
Are the bus purchases?
Correct.
To be honest with you, I couldn't tell you right offhand. I don't have that information with me, I could find out. I know
Well,
we
it's
have a
a-
monthly bill.
I understand it, but if we're gonna keep it the same, why would we keep it the same
Well-
if we got,
I'll tell you why we have to do that, and I'm not sure what we're gonna do, but as you recall, maybe three meetings ago, we extended the contract for the buses, the lease program,
yeah,
till after the election. So the new supervisor, whoever, has to make that decision, whether to keep leasing buses or buy them outright, or what to do, because the lease ends. So I don't know what money we're gonna need in there for the new leases. I think, in hindsight, I think we made a mistake 4 years ago, when we did that contract. We could have spent a little bit more money each month on that project, on that lease program, and then we could have bought the buses for $1 at the end of the contract. Those buses are still good for another 2 years. We would have owned them outright. But we didn't do it that way.
well, we didn't know we weren't gonna use them for 6 months, so.
Right. We didn't know that. And you know what? Back in the day, before we moved into this building, those buses used to come out of Joliet at the next thing, that company. They used to store them down there.
Arnold?
Rentals, yeah. And there was a lot of traffic getting them from there to here every day. And then we drive them around, and then we drive them back there, and the drivers, there's a lot of wear and tear on those buses. We're not doing that, so they're in a little bit better shape. So the last time, I wish we would have done that, spent a little bit each month, and now we would have owned them outright. So that's what we're gonna have to discuss after the election, the new board. Bus maintenance, $15,000. Fuel's at $20,000. So the bus program's at $90,000, about the same as last year. I guess we didn't raise anything. Okay, full-time, we brought that up because, again, like I said, I'm gonna have, for a little bit, through this transition, I'm gonna have Bob and Dawn both as full-time maintenance guys.
Is he on a paid leave right now?
No,
Okay.
no. He's I'm sure he's got some, what do you call it?
Sick pay.
Sick pay. I'm sure he's using that up right now. Full-time, or part-time stays the same. Elevator maintenance, we did go over in both categories, so I brought that up. Alarm maintenance stays the same. Yard maintenance, I believe, is the same. Custodial supplies, everything's the same. Capital improvements, the same. Land building purchase. Well, that's just the total of the
That's
whole.
total.
Yeah, that's the total I'm looking with. That's not a
Yeah,
line item. No, that's not a line item. I'm confused. And then, of course, the liabilities have to be figured with the raises. Any questions of our senior fund that they'd like to talk about? Hearing none, we'll move on to our general assistance, which I believe everything stays the same except for the one employee with the raise. Hospitalization went up 10%. Everything else, no. Oh, the unemployment insurance went up. Went over that last year. FICA, Medicare, obviously has to be calculated. Everything else, I believe, is going to stay the same. Unless I see something different. Pretty much everything stays the same. Actually, the totals pretty much stay the same. Any questions on our general assistance? So if everybody's good with everything we discussed here tonight, I will have Tom do the actual budget paperwork, and we'll put it on display as soon as next week.
Goes on display 30 days before it gets approved.
You know, we have to do it 30 days before it gets approved, so I'd like to put it on display now, and then in,
It goes on display in the newspaper 30 days before it gets approved, yeah. So it's approved May 11th, so it'll go on display April 11th, or whatever that Friday is before.
April 11th or whatever. Yeah. Not April 11th, it'll be Sunday,
Whatever the Friday is.
yeah, the
The
9th,
Friday before April 11th,
yeah, we'll do it the 9th,
that's when it'll go on display, and it'll be in the,
and then we'll go ahead and approve it on the 11th of May. We'll have to have a public hearing on that too, right? Have a public hearing on that budget?
yes.
So that meeting, just if you want to put a note down, would be, have to start at 6 o'clock instead of 6:30
On May 11th.
on May 11th. I have nothing else in the budget. The only thing I have left on the agenda, there was some talk about a discussion here tonight about the surety and the surcharge refund. I know, Dean, you had the question, I guess most brought it up. I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for, so,
I thought he asked us if we can extend the notice to the people.
we can as a board,
Wasn't that what you
if
said?
that's what you want.
Well, I just brought it up as a conversation, and now, you know, we're made aware that maybe there is something else we can do, like reaching out to the Hispanic community. And like I said, it was basically just to make sure we don't end this prematurely. You know, when like I said, we still know there's people out there who deserve some money to come back to them, as long as we do everything that we could to get it to them. That was all, that was my concern.
Okay, I guess maybe I was just misunderstood, you know, because in the meeting I was, you know, not thinking.
No, I don't know if another letter, like I said, kind of just discussing what the best way to be would be, you know, to.
Well, I will tell you this, we did, you know, obviously, we all know, we sent a letter to every house in the,
Right.
on the water system, plus some houses, I believe.
Right.
This pile of letters here is what came back not
Not deliverable.
deliverable.
Oh.
Okay.
So,
Well, maybe,
then-
maybe, I don't know if it would be up to, you know, hire somebody or somebody to look into that, why they did come back. Plus, I know, you know, I did have a couple of residents reach out to me and say that it was a little confusing as far as how to fill it out and what they were requesting. You know, it was either surety, tap bond fee, if you thought you deserved both, you know, or, you know, did you pay the surcharge, didn't you pay the surcharge? You know, without looking at the letter right now, I don't know exactly what they were talking about, but it seemed like, you know, like I said, it might have been kind of a lot in one, you know, letter asking the residents to try to figure out what exactly they had coming back or whatever. And I just thought maybe there was a way we could figure it out, you know, and I don't know if that's the case or not.
Well, I do like this gentleman's recommendation about maybe doing something in Spanish for
Right.
that bilingual.
Is that's really become a concern.
Okay.
Because now Lewis University's helping out Fairmont, and there's one young woman who's Hispanic who's gonna be like a liaison there too. So it's becoming a concern again, just so everybody's confident that the people were notified as best as we could.
But how can we target those individuals?
Well, I
only
would
thing I
imagine
would
if we're gonna send a letter, we send it both
To
in English and
everybody.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
Send both languages.
I think what happened here, we've got all these letters back. How many people were in that, were in the water system there?
about 800, I'm guessing.
800
850.
residences. Okay, so it looks like we got about 100.
Yeah, about 68 or 70.
So, what I believe may be factoring in here is a lot of those homes are rentals. The people that are renting there, get the mail there,
A lot of them could be torn down. A lot of them could not even exist, you know, so these records and stuff, come from, there's a lot of vacant houses, and stuff.
And that's the problem with your database. Your database may, be faulty or not up to date or inaccurate, and
So
that's not helpful.
the person who was in charge of this, did they look into records on properties, or did they just?
Yes, they did.
They did, so.
With PIN numbers.
No, I mean,
Mostly, what had happened, we sent it out to here's how we did it, basically. Pretty much the way I understood it. We sent it out to every household with a letter saying, and with the form to fill out, if you thought
did we send it to the household, or did we send it to where the tax bill goes?
I think we sent it each, the same where the bill went.
The water
The
bill.
water bill.
Okay.
Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to ask, I don't know right off the top of my head. I think the bills go to the property owner.
Correct.
They're
So if it was, yeah.
So of that first thing, this is who collected money. These are all the checks. It's double-sided, I don't know what the number is, about 200, round number, that responded. These came back, so that's another 60, let's say it's 100, that's 300. Of that, these are the people that didn't respond. Not all, these are the ones that responded. This is kind of confusing, and I'm not even sure. It doesn't have the addresses. It's code numbers that,
Why can't we get a spreadsheet together that's legible?
that's what I asked too. Good question.
Well, you said our employees deserve a 3% raise.
Well, I know,
They
but
can't get
I
a
will tell you
spreadsheet
this
together.
also. This employee also is dealing with 21,000 checks right now, reconciliating with the bank statements.
Okay.
So there are, we're a little busy. We got probably 5 stacks this high of those.
This was in the works a long time before
I
that.
understand it. But we made decisions.
I understand that.
This board
I'm
made a
arguing with you.
decision, now wait a minute. This board made a decision to end the line, the time to do this months ago. And then we extended it to the end of this month. If you guys want to extend it longer, we can and send out another letter. That's what we have to decide as a board. We already sent a letter to everybody,
I
and then
think,
we extended the thing, and we did reach out to the Fairmont community when we extended it through to Linda, and we did get more responses. If we want to try to do it in Spanish, that's a board decision, and we'd have to put that on the agenda next month. And whatever you guys, it's your...
I'm just brainstorming here with an idea, since it's a workshop.
Yeah.
You mentioned there was a young lady from Lewis University that was working with Fairmont Community.
They're bringing her in now. There's this Frank fella, and he's leaving, but there's these 2 others, and they spoke last night also. So maybe the lady named Martinez, so maybe.
What my idea is if we get somebody from outside involved that brings some fresh ideas to this, and we could talk about approving a fund that we set up a grant that would go through Lewis University to pay this person to take care of the finding these people.
Well, we can
Or,
do that.
for maybe the price.
I will tell you one thing that's always on my mind, and is we still did not pay all our bills. There is one outstanding bill,
I understand that, yeah.
and we are responsible for that bill. I know you guys don't want to accept it, but we're as responsible for that bill as we are responsible for any bill. We should pay that back. That bill is owed to all the taxpayers of Lockport Township. And I feel like we're stealing their money without their approval. I think if we want to set up a fund, we bring it to the annual town meeting and let the voters decide whether we want to give away that money, not us. Because it's not our decision to make, it's their money.
Is that on the agenda for the annual town meeting?
No. Nobody asked to put it in.
I don't even know that that's part of the questions that can be asked. I have to look that up, but it's too late now.
Well, my thought is we pay the town fund back. Here's just an idea, brainstorming. We pay the town fund back, the money, as much of the monies that's left that we owe it. And then, because the Fairmont community is an underserved area, or, we feel responsible to have water even though that water, that money is not the water's money, that's the town fund money. If we wanna give another stipend to the highway department for roads only in Fairmont area next year, we can give that amount. That way the town is paid back, we do it in an annual town meeting, and the voters have the vote to say yes or no on that. We're not making a decision, they are, to spend the town fund money that way. That's my thought. That way everybody's happy. The town gets paid back, and Fairmont gets money for their roads.
Well, that's probably another,
$50,000.
that's probably a whole other workshop, but, it's an idea, yes. But as far as the way we're gonna move forward, what should we recommend we put on the,
Well, for the agenda for
for the
next
agenda
month,
for next month?
that's up to you guys, but what I'm hearing is you'd like us to send another letter to every person, or at least, if we can figure out and get a spreadsheet
Well,
of the people that didn't get
I'm
paid.
not saying a huge grant, but I'm like talking to bringing somebody outside, you know, up to $5,000 to track down these people. That mailing's gonna cost us a couple $1,000s, right?
I would think so, yeah. Well, it's 800 houses. What's,
Or 55 cents,
Well,
that's
how do
40.
these people pay, when they get their tax bill mailed to them? How, I don't understand. Tax bills come back like that too?
well, a lot of rebate taxes, yeah, rebates came back.
No,
No,
property,
but
no,
like property tax
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to ask the,
Yeah, but I'm saying,
Property
go through
tax.
the treasurer.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
go through the treasurer's
So,
office to get
It
these
would be,
addresses.
it would, I'm a college student, this would be a great project, to put a college student on the, I'm just putting it out there, that's an idea. I don't know anything about the person that's,
That I can find out with the Linda Harrod if that's a feasibility, because they want something to do, so that could be an avenue.
okay, so do you think we could, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Dean? I don't know.
Well,
spitball.
I think a lot of it has to start up in the office. Because, like you said, we got 200 people that are already taken care of that we believe so. So we're down to, you know, whatever, 600 people. And like you said, Greg, to have a spreadsheet, you know, all these addresses that came back are either, like Ron said, they're either vacant homes or the people don't live there or something. And, you know, there's gotta be some way to confirm it one way or the other, I think. I don't know, like Denise says, check a tax bill or something like that, or, I don't know.
Well, it's probably a better way to start than doing a mailer, because again, then the mailer's gonna come back returned too.
Right, right.
So-
I think, like I said, I don't know if there's anything else that can be done
I don't know, it seems like we're, you know, just
as far as,
trying. We reached out, how many times we have to try, I guess?
Yeah, like, we only sent
Before we
one
get
letter.
I'm also on,
We only
kind of
sent
on
one
page
letter.
with you there, how many times do we have to, but, and it's, we're just trying to make sure that everybody is aware that that money that came in that wasn't used is available for them to get returned. And
But
How do we
again,
make
I think we
everybody
need to
aware?
pay our bill too.
well, do we know if because I know obviously there was a tap-on fee and there was a surcharge, you know, there was like a couple different items, you know,
The
that would be.
tap-on fees though, Dean,
they don't get returned.
they got lost years ago.
Okay,
A lot of
okay,
those
so,
got
so
lost.
the
That's
surcharge.
what we sent out letters to.
Okay, so I guess, like the surcharge, were we able to determine who paid a surcharge, or, because it was only like 14 months
I
that we
understand
collected a
that.
surcharge.
I didn't go through the records.
No, I know
Personally,
that,
no.
I'm just
I
saying,
didn't.
were
I
we
didn't
able,
instruct our-
were our people who did the billing able to determine who paid the surcharge and who didn't? Because I know some residents did and some residents didn't. So, like I said, I just want to make sure that people who
But
paid
a
a
lot of those bills are
surcharge.
paid cash and we don't, you know,
Right,
we don't
so
know who
does
paid.
that make a difference then, when
Yeah.
somebody pays cash?
yeah, who paid the cash?
And there's no record.
Was it the homeowner? Was
Well, I
it
mean,
the-
somebody came in with a bill, right?
No, they dropped it in an envelope over there. in the
Right,
box.
but you knew what address that was going to.
Right, but who dropped it off, the homeowner or the renter?
Well, the money
Well,
goes back to
I'm just
the,
saying, did, you
to
know,
the homeowner.
what, like if the bill was $57.50 because $7.50 was a surcharge and there was only $50 in the envelope, well, they didn't pay the surcharge. If there was $7.50, they
Again,
did,
I would
so.
ask that you come in and talk to
Okay.
our employee, and see if we can get that figured out. And she'll have the answers as to why, because she has the program, I don't.
Well, right.
You know, so I can't answer.
No, I know, but you could
as
ask
to
her.
why. Well, I know, but,
No.
you know, it loses, why are we playing this?
Right.
You know, you ask him, you ask, it feels like I'm in a game of.
Yeah, I was thinking I could come in for a couple hours
Yeah.
someday when it works out for her and just sit down and get into the detail.
Get into the.
Because even if we hired a college student, we're gonna have to manage the project and know what we're asking them
I
to
think
do.
we have to have a
Yeah.
committee, and somebody has to run this committee. And that's fine with me. But for the agenda, let's get back to
You
that.
need to
let's-
really extend it for a month, right off the bat.
Well, we want
Let's
to extend.
extend it, well, if we're gonna extend it for a month, we might as well go till the end of June, because
Okay, that's fine
give the
with me.
new board a chance to react.
Understand and
and,
get to understand everything.
The end of June, so, do you wanna put
Are
that
we
on?
okay till the end of June, and we can make a decision? Do you want to make a decision?
How do you extend it till the end of June if there's a new board? I guess I'm missing this. You could extend it to the end of May, because the new term is May 17th.
Well,
Give them time to
Give them
get
time
acclimated
to,
to
yeah.
what's going on, what's happening.
it's not like we're spending money.
Yeah, it's not spending much money
Oh, okay.
at this point. We're just extending the
Yeah,
deadline.
well, then
Delay
you
it.
do it at the end of June.
Delay.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, it's just a couple months.
And then if we gotta, I don't know if you want to make that decision at this next meeting, I'll put it on the agenda to send a letter in Spanish or something, or
You
you
might
want
as well
to?
wait with that.
Wait on
until you
all that.
figure
We'll
all this
do-
out.
Maybe if you know, then you get a handle on the spreadsheet of who did, who didn't, how, where.
Right,
But then you can focus on who has to get the next letter.
yep. I'm glad you're in this workshop, thank you.
Why don't we do this then? I'm going to put on the agenda just to extend it to the end of June.
I know, I'm usually the fly on the wall.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
Bob, I don't hear you talking. But I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's input. Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
Any other issues with the water they want to discuss? Then I'm going to go ahead and,
Make a motion to do,
yeah,
yeah,
First I'm going to
Let us
just,
know.
yeah, just let you know that I am going to instruct Tom to get the budget together with everything we discussed today, and we'll put that on the agenda.
So,
A motion to adjourn.
so it's just that you prepare the spreadsheet first to see who is gonna get the letters later.
Yep,
Okay.
I'll make that motion to
I got a
adjourn.
motion by Barb, Lane,
Second it.
second by Karen Johnson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, thanks. You have